Good morning, everybody. I'm doing this in advance, a couple of days in advance. I believe it's going out on Tuesday, the 21st. I thought I'd do it somewhere a little bit different today. I've been inspired by the likes of Cliff and Dave doing it from their gardens, Mikey and Cliff doing it from their vehicles. And I thought, well, I'll have a change today too, so I'm doing it from my summer house stroke glorified shed. I just hope that helicopter doesn't go overhead as it did a couple of minutes ago, otherwise it might sort of disturb things a bit too much. So anyway, here's hoping. I'm going to talk a little bit about giving this morning, 4 types of giving. The first one is alms, and apparently that apparently comes from the fact that beggars used to hold out their hands, so from their arms. And that's really giving in secret, really, between you and the Lord. Example, maybe providing someone something for the benefit of others, i.e. shopping for someone, maybe throwing in a few extras as a gift without telling them, maybe getting together with someone else and quietly together help somebody out, practically or financially. Or maybe anonymously putting some cash in an envelope and putting it through someone's letterbox to help them make ends meet. I'm sure if you're sitting here today and that's happened to you, I'm sure you've been blessed by that. So many different ways we can give in alms giving, practically and financially. Now, secondly, let's move on to tithe, the biggie. Tithe literally means tenth. To give 10% of our income. The commentator I've been reading on this says, many Christians don't believe they can afford to give 10% of their net income to God, usually through fear of not having enough or a lack of faith or both. But if you tithe 10%, He will bless you with true riches that money can't buy. And God will enable you to do more with 90% of your income than you could ever do with the whole 100% of your income. I'm going to read Proverbs 3 verse 9 and 10. Honour the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of your crops, then your barns will be filled to overflowing and your vats will brim over with new wine. So I can testify to that. Over the years, God's been faithful to me and my family. In times of difficulty, when it might have been tempting not to tithe, God's always been there. I mean, there's been times when really we've perhaps felt we were quite struggling financially, and somehow someone would give us some money, or we'd come across a little windfall. I think one time we were left some money in a will, and often this money came in at just a really good time to help us out. And it was just the way that the Lord blessed us, really. It was amazing at times. So I would really sort of recommend and encourage you to really think about tithing if you don't already do so. The Lord really does bless you and honour you. If you give that 10% over to Him, which is His, He will bless you, He'll honour you. That we talked earlier about, that 100% of your money goes down to 90%, but you can still use that 90% to a greater degree than you probably could that 100%, because God's there, He knows your needs, He helps you out. So let's move on to 3, offering. Now this is anything over and above the 10th tithe, i.e. God's money. So if we give from our 90% income left, i.e. our own money, it's a gift from our own money and can only really be considered as a gift because it's from our own money and not part of the 10th that we've already given over to God. So again, it's a hard one sometimes, because I think we can easily think, well, I've already given quite a lot of, already one way or another. But a little tip I'd recommend, is just try and put a little bit of money aside on a regular basis, so that when you do see a need, you've got that extra money there to give to something. If there's a call at church to give to some charity or whatever, whatever it might be, you've got that extra money there to give, and you don't really have to worry about thinking, well, can I really afford it? So let's move on to grace. I'm going to read from a commentary here what they say about grace. Grace giving is the goal for the Christian. Grace giving is when God supernaturally enables you to give beyond your power. It happens when God knows he can funnel money through you without you keeping it for yourself. The Macedonians were able to give by grace in spite of deep poverty and great affliction. The average Christian looks at their budget and tries to decide what they can afford to give. The spiritual Christian prays and asks God what they should give. Tithing is not mentioned much in the New Testament because God doesn't want us to only do what is required. He wants us to learn that he can work through us mightily when we yield to him. Tithing is the floor, the least acceptable gift. Grace giving is the ceiling. It is a supernatural giving empowered by God. There is no limit as to how much God could give through you if you would surrender to him. So it's amazing, really. If we do that, if we surrender to God, we trust in him, we're so much more able to give. And as I've said earlier, I found that you give money to something, it's amazing how somehow that money seems to come back to you some way down the line, and often it's not long after, you get a windfall, or I don't know, something happens, and God will always bless you, usually with giving back what you've already given. That seems to be what's happened to me anyway. So I just really want to encourage you this morning to really just think about your finances. I know at the moment it's probably a little bit more difficult. People are worried about the future a little bit more, but put your trust in God and just be prepared to give him the 10th that God's owed. Try it. Dare God to bless you. You give him his 10%, and anything above that, and I'm telling you now, he will bless you. He really will. And I'll just read another one. I wasn't going to do this, but I will read Malachi as well. Malachi 3:10. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. So it says it there, doesn't it? If we give, God will give back so much more in abundance, and he'll never he'll always look after us. He'll never let us be in despair with our money situation or anything. He will provide for us. And I think if you listen to Nigel the other day, he talked about trusting in God and God's provision. I think he spoke last Thursday morning. I recommend that if you haven't heard it, just listen to him. God will always provide. So just think about it. Look at your money situation. Give that 10th. And offering is anything above that 10th. And God will be there for you. He's done it for me, and I know he's done it for many others. So trust in him, and he'll see you through. God bless.